He knew he was going to die. His final video will make you cry. The prophecy he made before he passed. And millions of people, grieving, curious, searching his name for the first time, clicked. Here is the truth. James Robison did not predict his death. He did not leave a cryptic farewell. He did not deliver a final prophetic message to the world. What he actually said in his real final broadcast was this: I love you, Betty. May we enjoy many more wonderful years together. That is a man looking forward, not saying goodbye. And the real story of who James Robison was is so much more interesting than anything those fake channels invented. James Robison was 82 years old when he died on May 16, 2026. For most people under 40, that name may not be immediately familiar. But in the world of American Christian television and in the communities across Africa, Latin America, and Asia that his humanitarian work reached, it carries enormous weight. He founded Life Outreach International. He hosted the long-running television program Live Today. He was, for decades, one of the most recognizable voices in Christian broadcasting. But the version of James Robison that most people knew from his peak television years was not the final version of him. The distance between who he was at the height of his fire and brimstone broadcasting career and who he became in his later decades is genuinely one of the more remarkable personal evolutions in the history of American Christian ministry. That story is what the clickbait channels are burying, so let's tell it properly. Before we get to the real story, let's spend a moment on the machine that is obscuring it. Because the pattern that emerged after James Robison's death on May 16 is identical to what happened after Ron Kennedy died in February, and after Joni Lamb died on May 7, and after every prominent Christian figure passes. Within hours, sometimes within minutes of a death announcement, low-quality video channels upload content with sensationalized titles designed to rank in search results in autoplay after legitimate tribute videos. The formula is always the same: dramatic title using fabricated first-person language. He knew, she confessed, the secret they kept. An AI voiceover reading a script assembled from speculation and misrepresented clips. Generic slideshow images. No named sources. No links to credible reporting. In James Robison's case, the specific raw material they used was an older broadcast in which he reflected, as elderly ministers often do, on gratitude for his long life. He mentioned his 22 great-grandchildren. He expressed amazement at still being alive and active at his age. Standard reflections, the kind any 82-year-old minister might offer. The clickbait channels reframed them as prophecy, as a man who knew his end was coming and was leaving a coded message for the world. He was not. He was an 82-year-old grandfather talking about how much he loved his family. The difference between those two things matters, and the fact that millions of people cannot easily tell them apart, that is the real problem this content. James Robison was born in 1943 in Houston, Texas. His early life was marked by difficulty. He was born to a mother who had been assaulted and who initially considered not keeping him. He was raised in foster care for significant periods. The circumstances of his childhood were unstable, and by his own account, formative in ways that never left him. He found evangelical Christianity as a young man and built a broadcasting career on it. Through the 1970s and 1980s, he was known for large-scale crusades and a preaching style that was direct, intense, and deeply aligned with the conservative Christians of that era. He was a significant figure, influential, connected to political circles at the highest levels of American conservative life. But here is where the story takes a turn that most of the clickbait channels never mention, because it doesn't fit the dramatic narrative they're selling. At some point in his later ministry years, James Robison's focus shifted, not from faith, but in the expression of that faith. Life Outreach International, the ministry he founded, pivoted toward humanitarian work on a scale that is genuinely significant. Clean water wells drilled in communities across Africa where waterborne illness was killing children. Feeding programs, medical outreach. By the time of his death, Life Outreach had been involved in drilling thousands of water wells and providing meals to millions of children in some of the world's poorest communities. That is not a footnote to his legacy. That is the center of it. The clickbait channels want you to believe James Robison's final message was a cryptic prediction about his own death. Here is what his actual final public expressions can. Gratitude. For his family, for his 22 great-grandchildren, for decades of ministry, for a life that by his own account had been fuller than he could have imagined given where it started, and a direct, simple public declaration to his wife Betty, I love you, Betty. May we enjoy many more wonderful years together. That is not a man saying goodbye. That is a man who expected to still be here. Ministry partners who knew him noted exactly this, that his final words pointed toward the future, not toward an ending he was anticipating. He died on May 16, 2026. The cause of death was not publicly disclosed by his family or his ministry board. They confirmed his passing and asked for privacy. That request for privacy deserves to be honored. Not exploited by channels inventing prophetic narratives to fill the silence. The silence is not a mystery to be solved. It is a family's grief. It belongs to them. Here is what gets lost every time a clickbait channel publishes a fake final prophecy video about a figure like James Robison. Somewhere there is a community in sub-Saharan Africa that has clean water because of what his ministry built. Somewhere there are children who are fed because Life Outreach showed up. Somewhere, there are people whose lives were materially, tangibly better because a televangelist from Texas decided that his faith required him to do something concrete about global poverty, not just broadcast about it. Those people are real. That work is documented. It is verifiable. It is the actual legacy. And it is being buried, algorithmically, commercially, deliberately, under fake videos about death prophecies and manufactured mystery. The people who produce those videos are not interested in the water wells. They are not interested in the feeding programs. They are not interested in the real arc of a man who spent his final decades trying to translate faith into action in some of the world's hardest places. They are interested in watch time, in ad revenue, in the seconds between when a grieving person clicks and when they realize they've been manipulated. James Robison spent 82 years building something real. He deserves better than being reduced to a thumbnail. There are genuine, open questions about what comes next for Life Outreach International. James Robison was its founder and its public face. The humanitarian programs he built, the water wells, the feeding initiatives, the global outreach infrastructure require ongoing funding, ongoing leadership, ongoing commitment. Whether the ministry continues at the same scale, under what leadership, and with what priorities, those are real questions that the people who supported his work deserve honest answers. His family has asked for privacy. That is appropriate in the immediate aftermath of a death. But in the weeks and months ahead, the question of institutional continuity for a ministry scale is on. It deserves honest coverage, not clickbait speculation, but real reporting on what happens to the work he built. That is the story worth following, not a prophecy he never made. Next time you see a video claiming that a minister, a gospel figure, a Christian broadcaster knew they were going to die and left a secret final message, stop. Ask who made the video. Ask whether the title uses words the person never actually said. Ask whether there is a named journalist, a credible outlet, a source you can verify, because the machine that produces these videos is not random. It is targeted. It specifically goes after the communities most likely to be grieving, most likely to be searching, most likely to click on something that promises a final connection they loved and lost. It preys on faith. Grief, on the very human desire to believe that the people we lose had one more thing to say to us. James Robison's last public words were about love and gratitude and the hope of more years with his wife. That is what he actually left behind. Not a prophecy, not a mystery, not a secret the algorithm is about to reveal. Just a man who spent 82 years, imperfectly, complicated, genuinely, trying to do something that mattered. And 22 great-grandchildren who knew he loved them. That is enough of a legacy. Remember it honestly. Let me know what you think.